Hi, I'm Maureen with VIDA Mountain Bike Series. We've teamed up with Shimano to create educational videos that will help you understand your bike setup, Shimano technology, and ultimately own your ride. Today, I'm going to talk to you about setting up your bike suspension. Whether it's a new bike or a new-to-you bike, taking the time to set up your suspension can drastically change your ride feel and quality. Setting your suspension using sag and rebound should take about 10 minutes. You'll spend the next few weeks fine-tuning these settings. All right, let's do it. You'll need your riding kit. Wear what you typically wear on a ride, especially if that includes a heavy pack, a shock pump, so these are different than your floor pump, and a friend. They're optional, but you may want their extra set of hands for stabilizing. Before you get started, make sure that your tires have the appropriate air pressure and that your fork and shock are not locked out, but instead fully open. I'll take a second to note that if you're riding a Yeti, they've made this outrageously easy. Go to shocksetup.yeticycles.com, enter in your information, and you'll get a fantastic starting point for setup. If you want to check that, or if you're riding on another bike, the first pieces of suspension to set is the sag on your shock and fork. Sag is the amount of your suspension that moves under the weight of your body. Ideally, you want that to be about 30% on your shock and 25% of sag on your fork. All right, so let's get started with your shock. Obviously, I'm not wearing my riding kit right now. I'm in jeans and Birkenstocks, but just imagine for the sake of this tutorial. So first, slide your O-ring to the front of the shock, hop on your bike, and give it a bounce. Before you hop off your bike, move the O-ring back to the rubber seal. Carefully get off your bike, making sure not to push down through the suspension. Okay, take a look. Where's the ring? It should be about 30% of the distance between the front and rear of the stanchion. If you have a RockShox product, that distance is clearly labeled. If you're using another manufacturer's shock, you will need to measure the distance in millimeters or travel of the shock, or give it a good eyeball. If you have more than 30% travel, you'll add more air. If you have less, let some air out. To do either of these options, unscrew the dust cover, screw your shock pump on, and adjust as necessary. Oh, and that hiss you hear after you unscrew the shock pump, that's air in the hose of the shock pump, not your shock. All right, now let's do our forks. Again, move your O-ring all the way down. Hop on your bike and firmly bounce. Move the O-ring to the bottom of the fork stanchion while on your bike and carefully step off without compressing the fork. We're looking for about 25% sag this time. Again, adjust the air in the fork using your shock pump. All right, so once you've set your sag, it's time to adjust your rebound and compression. Just to make sure we're all on the same page. Rebound. Adjusting your rebound speed adjusts the rate at which the suspension extends after an impact. If your rebound is too fast, your suspension will feel like a pogo stick, bouncing back up too quickly and lacking control. If your rebound is too slow, your suspension will feel sluggish and packed down. Low speed compression. These are easier than rebound, I promise. Low speed compression adjustments fine-tune the compression that happens when your suspension compresses slowly. For example, riding through a berm or turns. High speed compression. High speed compression adjustments control your suspension when your suspension is compressing quickly, when you land a drop or hit a rock garden at speed, for example. These adjustments allow you to develop the optimal ride feel, and we'll go through them quickly. You may or may not see all of these adjustments on your suspension. Most forks and shocks have a compression adjustment, some have rebound and compression, and some have high and low speed compression and rebound. We'll start with your fork this time. Rebound is typically this red knob. We're going to firmly press down into the handlebars and quickly release to test the rebound. Turn your rebound towards the minus or turtle. Press on the fork, releasing suddenly. Do this repeatedly, moving the rebound knob towards the plus or jackalope, that little rabbit with antlers, one click at a time, until the wheel leaves the ground when you press into the fork. Once the wheel leaves the ground, back off slightly. You are looking for the quickest rebound without the wheel leaving the ground. Some think it's easier to start with the rebound knob exactly in the middle, adjusting the speed from there. To adjust the shock, again turn the dial to its slowest setting. From here, you can lean into the bike to test the rebound speed or get on your bike and roll off a curb. Your goal is to move the knob one click at a time until you find the setting that allows your shock to go just beyond your sag distance and then settle in. Most suspension manufacturers will have a recommendation for your high and low speed compression settings. We recommend you start there, adjusting as needed based on your ride feel. As a last step, you'll want to pedal your bike around the parking lot, bouncing up and down to make sure that your shock and fork feel balanced. Feel balanced? Great. This is a starting point for your suspension. You may want to adjust any of these settings after you take your bike out for a ride. And that's how you set your suspension up on your bike. Love this video? Like, share, and subscribe. And look for more videos from Shimano and VIDA mountain bike series to own your ride.